welcome to Paranormal XL. Gigi here, of course, and look who we have with us today. Excuse me, Mama Mary, but instead of being a co-host today, she's actually a guest because she does some pretty amazing things with the whole ET thing, and she does way more than I have words for, so I'm just going to let you have at it then, and I'm just going to listen. What do you do?
Well, I work with M.U.F.O.N, and I do regressions with ET experiencers, whether it's just a regular experience or if it's somebody who thinks they've been abducted. We go into a deep trance state and go back through that experience to see what actually happened. Sometimes it's not always an abduction. Sometimes it's just a quirk event, but I help them get to the answers and start the healing process and let go of the fear of what actually happened with them. Because there is a difference. There's a big difference between abductees and experiencers. Sometimes you can just have an experience or think you've seen something or had contact, but it doesn't mean you've been taken. There are two different things being taken, then you had the frequent flyers, the ones who have been taken their whole life and their whole families.
When they're taken, is it like their physical body too?
And there's a lot of speculation on that. From the research I've done, sometimes what I've seen is like so much not the body, but the soul essence, like astral travel. Okay. In that sense. And, doing research and studying other people who have done regressions where they pulled through, ET through that regression, they talk about how it's like a molecular reconstruction where they pull the body up. And then once they get into that light, they're rearranging their molecules so they can go to that higher frequency, because sometimes it's not so much they're from different planets. It's literally that they're a different dimension. Right. And so different dimensions are all about different frequencies. Still the same thing like with psychics and mediums. It's the frequency they can tune into. Right. When we're at 3D and 5D, we can't tune in those frequencies. So it's kind of like they adjust the frequency level as we move. And they readjust the molecules. I'm just like... And a lot of times, like from research, they've said that that's why you're only going to see certain craft, because the other craft vibrates at a different frequency. You can't see it.
Well, that would make sense. I mean,
now this is all speculation. This is just through regressions what's being pulled out from people. What's
right.
Been,
but it makes sense because we are all just energy. Exactly. And they're able to manipulate what we see and not see because we're only able to hear, let's get back here on the normal realm, if you will, where, there's certain tones that we can't hear that a dog can.
That's exactly it. Yeah, there's a lot to the universe that we don't know and don't understand.
We never will. Just never. Just never, never.
Nope.
But you recently have been working with M.U.F.O.N, correct? So I'm going to pull up a picture here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Look at you doing your magic. Look at that. Now that's Bill, correct?
Yes.
And we've had Bill on the show to tell us everything that he does with Michigan M.U.F.O.N. And what are you doing here? Like this is
the regression. We did a live regression at the UFO-Con.
Okay.
And so he was nice enough to be my victim. I always
my victim.
But because it's not easy getting up on a table in front of people and sharing your experience like that. Because when you go under, you're there, but you're not there in a sense. It's sort of like a conversation, and you just keep on talking, but you're reliving. You have your conscious mind and you have your subconscious mind. Probably literally they did a scientific study, and we are only conscious minded less than 15 minutes out of every hour. That's why they play so many commercials. Is because you go into a zone. You don't realize you're going into a zone, but you do. Just like when you drive, and then all of a sudden you're driving, you're like, how the hell did I get here? Like, what the hell?
Every morning.
But you still function that whole time, right?
Yeah.
And so hypnosis is like that, but it just takes you a little bit deeper. And it's a lot of people will freak out because they're like, well, you're not in control. You are. It's just.
Yes. Well, I've had the regression done from you. Now, we did a past life regression on myself. It was way cool. If you have not had one, I highly suggest you go do it. Even if you don't believe, it's neat to go back and listen to yourself, to hear in your own voice, and sometimes not even your own voice, even though it came out of your mouth. What is the difference from when you do that to what you were doing to Bill there?
Not much of a difference, really, other than the fact, I had the process when I do the induction of bringing you off the cloud, taking you back. So I do all of that, but it's just a specific date and time. Okay. And that's it. That's the only difference. And, where the past life, you're going through a past life. With the experience, you're actually reliving the experience and going through it. But you would be really surprised at how much your conscious mind blocks what really happened.
Oh yeah.
So
I remember listening to mine.
Just recently, I had a gentleman I was doing a regression with, and we were talking about the craft that they were seeing. And I said, "Does it have any windows?" And he said, "No." And I said, "Does it have any doors?" And he goes, "No." He goes, "It does have a door. I didn't realize I had a door. I never." And this was something that happened like 10 years ago. Okay. So like, and it kind of blew their mind.
Right.
Like, literally still, I said, "But you got answers." Mm-hmm. Because you are seeing, your subconscious has a lot more information than
okay,
you consciously do.
When you are hypnotizing somebody, people get hypnosis for many things, smoking, eating, and stuff like that. So like it's same concept as you're tapping into the subconscious. Yeah. And half the time people don't know why they smoke. They're like, it's disgusting. It smells bad. Why am I even doing this? And then they find that out. They would have never, like we were just talking about, if it's not right up here, we're not gonna. It's gonna be back here. I
feel like, in a sense, the subconscious is interdimensional. That's your interdimensional being. That's your spiritual being that taps into the rest of the universe, and so that's why you get your answers with the subconscious, and that's why it's easier. Because I've done a lot of regressions where ETs actually come through and they have spoken versus the person. Okay, and I like a month ago. I literally had a regression where the woman was answering my questions, but I wasn't saying them out loud. That freaked me out.
So like telepathically.
Exactly. I started asking and she's like, "No, it's not like that." And I'm like, look around like, did I say something? But we did that for like the next 10, 15 minutes where she answered my questions without me asking them out loud. And when I tapped into her subconscious, what they really talked about was, we just are. We are a part of her, but we are. We're different, separate consciousnesses to her. Okay. But we just are. So that's an example where they're a part of her. It explained why she was having missing time. Because when they would step in, she wouldn't remember it. And eventually she would remember it, but not right away. Right. So that's a case where she had experiences, but she wasn't taken. Okay.
So, oh my gosh. Do you remember, like, I don't even know. It had to be 4 to 3 years ago. We covered alien abductions. I'm going to get hated on by the alien community for not remembering the names of these people, but it was like the first case. It was the husband and wife, and they were, oh my God, I cannot I'm so mad at myself. Like, it's right there.
I think the husband's name was Barney.
Yes. So, where was I going with that? Because they were missing time. Now, did they ever get like something like this done, or they were?
They did. That's how they got their answers, actually. Okay. Because they had the missing time, and they both went to the same regressionist, but separately. And that's where they really got the real evidence from it, because they both said the same stories, but separate.
Yeah. Interesting. So, do you think that their whole bodies were so like? I don't like my sci-fi movie, whatever kicks in. So like, say the spaceship's like, woo, comes down. It's like, oh, there's people driving in a car. I'm going to take the whole car. Now, would they take the whole car? Are they going to beam these people up? Or do they like separate? Because like, we're all like those.
Now, some of the cases that I've studied through the books I've read, they do talk about sometimes where they did do something like that. Okay. They also talked about, there was this one case where the woman was on her way to get lunch and she was driving her car. And then all of a sudden she had missing time. When she got back, it was 5:00 and everybody was pissed because she wasn't around. Yeah, they didn't get their food. And so when they regressed her and they tapped into the subconscious and the ET came through, they said, no, we kind of slowed down time. So we kind of stopped her car and took her, but we also like did it so nobody else would be able to tell that.
Right, so everything else kept going. Her personal time stopped. Correct. That was going to be my next question. Yeah. Because movies. Excuse me, like The Matrix, how they like slow down everything. So that's not essentially how it happens. Everybody else is still living their life normally. A minute's still a minute. 30 seconds is still 30 seconds. Mm-hmm.
It's a broad concept, and I think there's lots of different kind of scenarios. On people who are taken and how they're taken.
Do you think it's different species of aliens?
Yes. I don't think there's just one. And I don't think there's necessarily like evil aliens or bad aliens out there. I really feel like it's just like bad people. Yeah. There's horrible humans. Right. I'm sure there's
and some are brought up in like war-filled small towns, like third world countries and stuff like that. But we're not brought up, but we're still ultimately human.
Well, like for me, I feel like we're all connected.
Right.
So we come from God's source. Mm-hmm. There is a God. In some shape or form, there is a God. But so they do as well. Right. We are all connected. And so a lot of times I think they are part of our creation. And so they're watchers. They watch over us. And often when the cases that I have studied and people that I've worked with, often they end up taking them to heal them, to correct something that's wrong with them, to help them. But when they remember consciously, they feel like it's some kind of experiment because they don't really recognize what's going on. Once they do the regression, they realize, and maybe that sometimes that's not always the case. Right. Because there probably are bad ET out there. But I think it's more of a collective whole thing. And that's coming from the spiritual side of me. Where just the research I've done literally and listened to hundreds and hundreds of different regressions and their experiences. That's like the answer you get almost every single time in some shape or form. I'm just sorry. I'm taking like everything in. I know it sounds crazy, but no, there's so many different directions and rabbit holes you can end up in. And that's the problem. So do you think that, there's some here with us? Oh yeah. Like they come in animal form or human form. I think ET will use animals a lot, to communicate with us in a sense. Sort of like when you see owls. Owls are off like very often a representation of ET. Okay. Like when you see them in odd places and they just appear to you for no reason. And they do like overlays where they're connecting with you, but they give you a different memory so that when you walk away, you don't remember that. Okay, so just like Men in Black when they're like, in a sense, like there was a case that I was researching yesterday, and she was driving home, and there's an owl in the road, so she slowed down for it. And it stood in the middle of the road. She went around it, and when she pulled into the driveway, it went on the other side of her driveway, and it just always stuck with her. She thought it was weird just because it was very, very large. Yeah, and so when they did the regression with her, really what it was a communication with a ET being. He just wanted to talk to her. And sometimes it's sort of like they explain it as sometimes we make connections with people to plant a seed of consciousness so that maybe they'll open up more of their vibration. Right. They'll open up more consciously. They'll be more spiritual because their goal is for us to vibrate to love and not hate, because right now we're just a warring nation. That's all we want to do is fight each other. And if we do that, we destroy the universe, not just our planet. Well, absolutely. So what you're saying is, I know it's so much. So like what we do when we go to the shows and stuff, we're giving readings and helping people, because a lot, I would say 90% of them it's they have a question somewhere sort in there about their spiritual selves, even if they're like, I go to church every Sunday. It's okay, that's great, but you're here and you're talking. You literally just asked this out loud or subconsciously asked that. Yeah, because being religion and spiritual are two different things. Oh, absolutely, it is. Yeah, and I see that that's our purpose. Is we connect with people and we give them readings, we give them healing. So we're raising their vibration. We're planting the seed. We are the farmers. Yeah. Here, run with it. And I take that seriously. When we're connecting with people. That's what we're doing. We're raising their vibration. And maybe, just maybe, they'll get into spirituality and they'll want to do readings. And then they'll raise somebody else's vibration. And keep it going. Exactly. Sorry, just like, ding! Like the light bulbs are going off. When you hear about like indigo children, star seeds, there's, I forget the term that's used, but they call it the new wave. Okay. All right. So these are beings that have been put here to grow as, what you would consider human being, but they are from different places in the universe, and they're of a higher consciousness. And that's why sometimes they just hate being here. And you'll see them not really want to have children, or they will struggle with anxiety and depression because it just doesn't feel right. They don't feel home. Here. But their place here is to help other people. They have a special magic about them. And, like Destiny. I was just going to say that. I was literally like, that is what she is. And I told her that. Like, she is here to spread that healing to the planet. Sometimes just your presence here and your energy that you put out is healing. So, way around that circle to answer your question. Yes, I do think they walk among us. Ah, shit. I love that. So, wrapping back around. Bringing it back in. That's how we do, though. That is how we do. So many questions.
I don't want to be like sitting here just thinking, because I had them, but they're upstairs and I'm down here. I need to telepathically tell an ET to bring me some. So, I mean, we joke around about it, obviously. So, do you think that they are little green men, or do you think that they present themselves like that? So, like, sorry, I'm on a thing. When we go ghost hunting, some spirits will, even though they're not in that body form anymore, but to comfort us, because that's what we think that is supposed to look like Grandpa. He really isn't that when he comes in that form, but that's a comforting thing. Do you think aliens do that to us?
It could be to an extent. I think, that's where the overlays come from, where they present it as something else while they're making their contact, so that you remember that picture versus what was actually there. But I feel like, and again, from my research, there's different species, there's different beings. Sort of like if you are from Japan, you're not going to look like somebody from America. It's a different species, right?
Right,
human,
yeah.
But from a different culture, from a different place, from a different area. Right. So I've regressed enough people where there are grays, but there's also reptilians and there's also Pleiadians. They're all different. And so I think it's just, I don't think a different breed is the right word, probably different species, but just like here on Earth, there's different cultures.
Well, right. Word. I know what you're saying. So, like, when they come here, they're coming to our planet. Now, do you think that they have their own planets, or are they home planets? I guess
they do in a sense, term. Like their own like star system.
Okay,
like Aries and Orion is one. I think the reptilian come from Orion, and the Arcadians they come from that area. And if I remember correctly, I'm going to probably I've been studying it, but it does not mean I'm going to remember it. I think the Arcadians are more like a blue tint color.
Okay.
But, what they talk about a lot is like the galactic community, and the being a part of the galactic community means that higher spiritual thought process, peace and love and harmony.
All right. So then at some time we can all just like hang out, and all these aliens, including us, because to them we're aliens, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, what's an alien? Really? Something that's
a little green man. I thought we just talked about this.
Not from this area. But see, they also like say that like Pleiadians aren't aliens because they're from this solar system. They're just higher developed spiritual beings, interdimensional, and they're just they're very, very, very tall.
Okay, slender. So that would be scary. I would be scared, and everybody would be scared. I would be scared. So what's your take on like the government with aliens? Do you think they know?
Oh, they know. There's a huge cover up. They've worked with ET for so long. I mean, where do you think they got the B bomber? A lot of the technology, they made deals. They made deals a long time ago, and a lot of the technology we use was given. That information was given to us by ET, but it was supposed to be used for good. So when we're making nuclear bombs, what we were supposed to be doing is creating things that would heal people.
Right.
The whole point of like the B-2 bomber, that information was given to us so we could actually learn to work as craft, because it's very similar to a spacecraft, right? To work a craft so that we could travel in outer space. But we just take it, and
we are the main ones.
Yeah.
How sad. How sad. There's literally movies out there nonstop telling us these things.
And that's why those movies are out there, is to give us that information. And
I just had this conversation with somebody recently about that. Like, the truth is in the movies. And I'm like, as the older I get, and even some of the movies that I rewatch now that I'm older and I understand, I'm like, oh shit, because we're literally watching this shit happen.
Like, what is that? Your dad was telling me, he goes, I was watching this movie, and he goes, I know you would have loved it. I recorded it for you because the timeline you gave me with COVID and the sickness.
Was it The Simpsons?
And all the stuff coming out. He was like, it talked about it the whole time. Like, it was the exact same thing. I'm like, it's because movies try to soften and get you thinking.
They're literally telling us these things. So when it does, like, things just come out full fold that we're not, oh my God. No, they told us.
Yep.
And they can say that we told you, but we also put over this, here's aliens coming, but look at this big shiny thing.
Mm-hmm.
And just being human as we are, I'm guilty of it too.
They do their own overlays.
Yeah.
Because they think we're stupid.
Mm-hmm.
They tell us what they want us to hear. That's why if you watch news, you're only going to hear what they're wanting you to hear, but you're never going to hear the truth.
Right. Yeah. They're like, here, be entertained, not don't learn.
Yeah.
Don't knowledge yourself, but here, be entertained.
Mm-hmm.
That's so sad when you think about it as a whole. But I think now, let's say in the last 5 years even, COVID helped with everything, with people pausing, taking a moment and being like, oh, okay, what's happening here? And then not only spiritually, obviously we can go on forever to talk about that, but also people opening up to the concept of aliens being real, or even just more being out there. Yeah. Where before 5 years ago, if you thought that, you were in a mental institution and that was it, throw away the key.
Yeah.
Now they're slowly but surely more people are asking the why question. But why? But never stop asking the but why.
Yeah. You're going to see, probably 2023, a lot more of that opening up, where people are going to have more experiences. They're going to be open-minded about it. They're going to be willing to actually share the experience because it's less taboo. Yeah. And then you're definitely going to see where the government comes out with some kind of abduction or some kind of where we saved you guys, be afraid. So, because it's all about control, right?
Yes.
And yes. And that you're going to see that unfold a lot this year. It's going to be a big year.
So buckle up is what she's saying.
Yeah. Put your big girl panties on.
That's right.
Or big boy pants if you're a boy.
Whichever you wear, none, whatever. Just sit up straight and buckle up. So you are a huge, I want to say fan, but admirer of Dolores Cannon.
Yeah, I study her work a lot. That's the classes I took for learning the regression. And after actually reading her books is what really pushed me into wanting to do the ET.
Absolutely.
So I was super excited when Bill, you'd contacted me and asked me if I would be willing to do regression. So I was like, yes, this is exactly what
she was excited.
I was super excited.
I'm so excited. So with that, so the people that don't know who she is, first of all, now you do. Second of all, go out and get her books or watch the videos that are online. Yes. I do have a clip of her, and then we'll discuss. It's almost, because we listened to it beforehand, you've listened to it many times before. It's almost kind of exactly what we've been saying, but coming from another PSN.
Well, Dolores, it's coming from an expert. Okay. She did this for 45 years.
Yeah, that's true.
She's written over 15 books. She knows what she's talking about.
Her knows her shit.
Well, because she got all this information not from the same cases, but from hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of people who literally said the same thing.
Right.
So there's something to it.
Absolutely. So let's listen to Dolores Cannon.
Sounds a little strange because in my work, I began to have direct contact with the ETs, and that's pretty broad. But they're the ones that have been answering the questions and been telling me what's actually going on during the regressions. They said that the ideal situation would be that the person never remember anything, that they be totally blanked out, because that's the way it's supposed to be. These things have been going on since the beginning of Earth, and many of these people, they have been following them through their life with testings and with helping them their entire life. So it'd be better if they don't remember so they can go on with their life. But they said the problem is nowadays the chemistry of our brain. It's what we're exposed to with the chemicals in our food, the additives, the preservatives, and the pollutants in the air, the environment, how it affects the body. If the person is on any kind of drugs, medications, or alcohol, it affects the chemistry of the brain, so that the information that comes through is distorted. They are remembering an event like a dream. They're not remembering it the way it actually happened. They are remembering it with a distorted view of what they think happened. And then you bring in fear because they don't understand it. And they said fear is the strongest emotion that humans have. And when you bring in the fear, it colors the whole experience. So, like they have these support groups, I've been to some of them, and to me, I don't think it's therapy. It's just each one's fear playing off the other person's fear. So when I began doing the session, in my technique, I'm able to get the conscious mind, the emotions out of the way, so that doesn't interfere with what we're getting. You get into the deeper part of the person, you get the real meaning of what's happening. And when that happens, they'll wake up and say, well, if that's what happened, I can handle it. And then we can get therapy. And it's never the fear-based things that the other therapists are coming up with. But when I was working on this for quite a while, the ETs began coming through these people. Because I work in the deepest possible level of trance. They would come through and they'll say, you're the one we're supposed to give the information to.
And we're back! Love that. So, what would you think?
No, I think she's right. A lot of it is just when they try to connect and communicate and have that contact is to do testing. Sometimes at a very young age, I guess you would call it inoculate, or they put some kind of device so that they can keep track of that child, but also like provide healing. So that's why they come through to try to make connection, to try to test, to see where their DNA is, to get us ready to be able to raise our vibrations.
Okay. Like I was just saying, one of my favorite things that she does say is how, I'm like freezing, they don't want you to remember some of the things. So you can go on and live your experience that you're supposed to have here. I've ran into a few people that I think they let it overtake their life. And anybody that tries to step in and say, hey, look, you know what? I'm not disregarding your story, but you still got bills to pay. We are physically here right now. Like me personally, I detach, this is going to sound silly, I detach my spiritual side from my physical side. I have to. There's times where obviously I put that, oh my God, am I rambling and sounding like a crazy person? Right. But I do that just because I've watched people just let it consume their every being, and we're missing out on the experiences that we're supposed to be having here. Like the aliens. Now, do you think that we're being observed?
All the time.
Like
being observed.
Like, are we their science project? Like, for
sometimes
all of them,
I think so. Maybe not all of the species, but to some extent. Like I said, their goal is for us to raise our frequency enough so that we can actually join, the universe. Like, right. It's because right now we would destroy each other. The reality is, if like ET was to expose them to themselves to us, we would go to war.
We would.
And it would destroy everything. So I do think they observe. I think there's some of us that have been created, maybe not all of us, some of us that have been created and seeded onto this planet to spread that and to raise that vibration. So they're constantly observing, making contact and doing tests and, running the DNA to make sure that it's running the way it's supposed to.
Okay. So was it the RH? Man, I hate trying to be scientific because I am not good with words. It's like the blood type, the one that they're like, oh my God, you're an alien now.
Yeah, I think, is that the O?
Well, I think there was the O, but I think there was like an RH something, or maybe it was something that was attached to certain people's DNA, like they just found it.
Oh.
And it's I could be talking out of my ass right now, but I want to say it's RH something. And now, of course, you got the people that are like, no, that's not what it's always been here. And then you got the people, oh my God, everybody's an alien. But why can't we just meet in the middle and figure it out? I'm like, Mom, answer that, please.
Well, because everybody has their different opinions. And this is
that's where the answer would be.
This is an uncomfortable topic. And sometimes people don't want to be uncomfortable. That's like one of my favorite things, though. But life doesn't begin, it doesn't do anything just being in your comfort zone. It begins when you get outside of your comfort zone and you actually explore and be open-minded and say, well, I don't really believe in it. And if you don't, that's fine.
At least you attempted it.
Think about the possibility.
I mean, okay, think about we're here. That's it. Like, that's all I got. So think about you're here. Why are you here? Why couldn't they be here?
Exactly.
Like, they may be asking the same thing about us too. Like, what the fuck are you guys? Like, this was our planet. Who's to say? Maybe we overtook their planet. And we're just a bunch of a-holes. And they're going to love me. I hope they're listening right now. Beat me up, Scotty. I'll be like, God, wow, I'm on the mothership. We're coming by to get you in 5 minutes. Get in. We're partying in it. Pulling up. Anyway.
Oh my gosh, shit. I gotta be designated driver again.
Here comes Sarah and her alien friends. God. So do you have anything else? I mean, we really just went right into it, but do you have anything else?
The only thing I can follow up with is when you're talking about they said, when the aliens, they like people to not remember, and they try to make it so that they don't.
Right.
Because half the time it's not as devastating as what they're perceiving it to be. And I think that's what the important part is with regressions, is because once somebody can find their answers, enables them to let it go so they can actually live a normal life. Is it always the case? No. Sometimes they open a can of worms and it's a little bit bigger than they thought it was. Mm-hmm. But 99% of the time, they're going to find their answers and settle down and say, oh, that's what it was. Okay. Now I have my answers and I can continue on with my life. Right. You know, I don't feel crazy.
So do you think, okay, let's say the aliens are up there and they beamed somebody up, did their testing, healed them, whatever they do, send them back here, and then that person becomes obsessed with it, and then they're not doing their normal human stuff that they're actually supposed to be studying. I'd be irritated if I was an alien and that was going on.
Yeah.
I have a crazy brain. Like, that's where my mind went. Like, I'm a pissed off alien now because you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. Like, you're going to make me fail my science project because you're obsessed with me.
Get your shit together.
Stop being so obsessed with me. Oh my God. That's literally what they want you to do. Stop being obsessed with them. How are they supposed to learn from us if we're like, I don't know. I don't want to say let it go, but like let it happen.
Yeah.
Still get your questions, but yeah, don't stop living your life here.
Yep.
Because you're gonna piss off ET and him's not gonna let you phone home next time. Like, I better stop. So, yay! Thank you for being a guest on Paranormal Podcast.
Thank you for asking me.
Oh my God, anytime. I love us. So if you're listening and not viewing, you should probably go view some of it. That way, well, you can see the Dolores and then the picture that we showed of Mary doing it. So like if you go to a U.F.O.Con or a M.U.F.O.N event type of thing and you see that, you're like, what the hell is going on in that room? That is what's happening in there. Probably go watch it.
Yeah, go check it out. So you get an understanding. Super exciting news. As March 12th, M.U.F.O.N is going to have their first in-person meeting.
Oh, fun.
And so Bill invited me possibly to be the special guest speaker there.
Yeah.
And to do a live regression.
Awesome. It's awesome.
I found my victim already. Not really a victim, I promise. You know, I just like saying that because it's funny.
Yeah.
But that'll be interesting.
How fun.
I don't know how good I am at public speaking, but I guess there's a first time for everything.
You're going to nail it. You're going to nail it. I know you are. I mean, you did that in front of people, the regression.
That's true, but I was able to tune them out.
That's true. So, just picture everybody as aliens, little green men in underwear.
Huh.
You'll probably just laugh the whole time, but I mean, that's fun too, right? I mean,
Channing Tatum in underwear.
Or no underwear. That's fine too.
Magic
Whatever.
Okay, then.
Yeah. Moving on. So yeah, email, like if you have any paranormal stories, any ET stories especially, or experiences. What was the other word that you said? Experience or
taken.
Experience or taken by an ET. Email us at paranormalxl@writeme.com. Stay kind, stay humble, and remember, don't yuck someone else's yum.
Ever.